we doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Friday, a big Friday preview day on the show here. So I'm joined by Austin. Rogan is gone today. Austin, how we doing on this Friday? We're getting towards the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, it's a refreshing Friday here in lacrosse. It seemed like the week was going by pretty slow, but now we've hit Friday, and now it seemed like it went by fast. Time kind of just messes with you now these days. At some point it's slow, some point it's fast, but in all reality, it's always the same speed. But it just messes with your brain a little bit.
Well, and the big thing is this weather right now. I can't gauge what kind of time of year it is right now. It's nice out, it's warm, it's sunny, and it's just great outside right now. And you know what the worst part is? You're gonna have to bear with me today. I'm coming down. Yesterday I was feeling my throat was starting to get a little sore and I was having a little cough, and now today getting there, you get to that mid cold kind of feeling. I got that right now. So I got a cold going on. So just going to have to live with it. Today here, I might have some moments where my voice might go for a second. We'll make her through. I couldn't miss it. I could not miss
have
today.
To provide for the community, Trage.
We're here to provide. And it is a Friday preview. I can't miss the Friday preview. That's the big day. That's the weekend show. That's the one to hold us over until Monday. I can't miss that one. So lots of things to talk about leading up into this one. I want to know, Austin, leading into the weekend here, what are your thoughts? Any big plans for the weekend out of you?
Not a whole lot of big plans. I have to work a track meet at UW Lacrosse. Lacrosse is known for their track program and everything. So that should be exciting. But luckily, my Sunday is open, and I will be watching. I think everyone in the state of Wisconsin will be watching that Badgers versus Purdue game. We'll get into a little bit of that later, but that's kind of what's on my mind as of now. Hopefully a very big game. Luckily, it's in Madison, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I'm getting a little excited for that one. You know what? The Badgers always play on that CBS noon game. That's when you know it's a big game for the Big Ten, when they're playing on that CBS noon game.
I could have lived with like a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock start. The noon seems like it's like an NFL Sunday kickoff. It seems like that kind of deal.
I'm not complaining about that since football's kind of gone now. No one's going to watch the Pro Bowl, so that no one cares about that. Flag football.
Flag football. Don't you mean flag football? I got to say, though it was terrible in its own right, I still found it interesting to watch. I won't say that I hated every second of the flag football. I think it's stupid. I do. I see why guys don't even care about it anymore. It's not really a big thing anymore. But, I found it interesting at least. It's not like it was the worst thing in the world to watch. I've seen some pretty bad television, so it wasn't like it was the worst thing, but yeah, I can see where it's not the same.
Yeah, the thing is, why select offensive linemen to the Pro Bowl if you're not even going to use them at all? You use them probably in some skills competition, but they can't play 7-on-7. What are they going to No. They're going to block the air there, Trage? Now what you need is offensive linemen versus defensive linemen, their own 7-on-7 game. Now that would be awesome. I feel like more people would cheer for the defense or offensive lineman than the defensive lineman. Just a bunch of chubby guys just running around out there trying to throw a football, try and catch one. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
That would, honestly, that would be interesting if they had their own game for the linemen. You find one of those guys who, like Jason Kelsey, say he could throw a football. You're my quarterback for this lineman versus lineman 7-on-7 flag football game, and then you have the skilled position guys playing in the other one. I think that'd be cool. I really do think that'd be cool to watch. I would definitely only tune into the lineman one. That's for darn sure. It wasn't like a Pro Bowl from way back in the day where they actually hit each other and, that kind of deal. But I found it interesting to watch, I guess, the flag football. I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but it was okay.
Yeah, I didn't even watch it, honestly, so I have no idea anything about it.
I watched 5 minutes of it. It's kind of like that Nickelodeon game that they had where they where it was on Nickelodeon and there was like the slime. Whenever a guy would kick a field goal, there was the slime and everything. I watched it for like 5 minutes and then I went back to the only one that I liked was the Toy Story version of the Jaguars and I can't remember who played in that game. Yes, I thought that was actually interesting. I really did. I found that really interesting to watch them because they had like the characters all over the place, and the Slinky Dog was 10 yards, and I thought that one was interesting at least. But I mean, it's kind of interesting what the NFL is doing to try and bring in revenue.
Did you see that Sweet Victory off of SpongeBob is going to be playing at the Super Bowl, apparently?
Didn't they try that once already? Didn't they try that once and they butchered it?
I think so, but I'm here for it. I'm here for another chance, honestly, because that song is pretty sick.
They got to do the full thing though. I got to see the trumpets. I got to see SpongeBob.
Yeah,
I got to see Plank. I got to. You got
to see Squidward point. The point, yes, and then Patrick with the mustache on the drums.
Yes, I have to see the full thing for it to be worth it. Otherwise, it's going to be. They tried it once. I really.
Otherwise, I'm not watching the Super Bowl.
Nope, I'm going to boycott it. I will boycott it. The commercials. The commercials aren't as good as they used to be anyway, so I will boycott.
Isn't it crazy how expensive Super Bowl tickets are, Trage?
Yeah, what was
$9,000? I think
was the lowest one, and that's not even for parking, hotel, or anything. Food. That's just a ticket to get into the game. That gets you in a seat.
Ridiculous. It's crazy that people actually pay for that thing too.
I can't imagine the Super Bowl is going to be I can't imagine that they're going to be able to run this for that long. I think people are going to get sick of having to pay that much money. I mean, you're still going to get your big rig celebrities that'll pay top dollar to get into the Super Bowl. But other than that, I mean, your average fan of that team, $9,000, I couldn't, if the Packers made it to the Super Bowl, I couldn't even think about it. I would stand outside the stadium. I'd go to a bar down the street from the stadium, but I can't even imagine paying $9,000 to watch a game. I really
imagine being a Kansas City Chiefs fan. They've been there. They've been to the Super Bowl the past 4 out of 5 years. They got to be broke with how many Super Bowl tickets they have.
You go every other year. You just go every other. You save up that 1 year. Go every other year, and we'll make it to the next one. Yeah, no, it is
stupid.
And I've heard a lot of things about going internationally with it too, having like the Super Bowl internationally, and then also expansion teams internationally too. I see.
Sometimes they try too much.
The international one.
I get what they're trying to do to expand the game, but like I like the London games and the games that they had in Germany.
So do the Jaguars.
But that's tough on the players, especially with the Jaguars stay there for 2 weeks in a row, and other teams they fly there for a week and then they have to fly right back and get ready for another game in the States. It's tough for teams there too. And then they had the game in Mexico City. And that's probably one of the better international games. They didn't have it this year. I think it was a couple years ago. But
that was
at least
the one with the Texans. I remember that one because Brock Osweiler was getting like red laser light shined in his eyes during the game.
Well,
they were shining lasers at him.
Well, that's what happens when you go into foreign territory, I guess, Trage.
What happens in Mexico City stays in Mexico City.
I'm not gonna say anything, but it's Mexico City, Trage. Things happen.
You never know. It's
you might get a laser in the eye. Las Vegas, dangerous place.
You have to sign waivers now that say, hey, lasers in the eye, you're gonna have to live with them when you come down to Mexico City. That's just how it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm just not about the expansion into internationally. I'm not. I really am not. I mean, you're going to expand, like you said, it's on players then. Players got to travel. They have to, like Jaguars, spend 2 weeks over there during those London, German, whatever games they're playing over there. It's just, I get it. It's a money thing. I don't see expanding teams over there. You can have games over there. I don't think you want to have the Super Bowl over there because your average fan isn't going to be able to travel. You want your diehard fans to be at the Super Bowl. And I think that's what's really killing it too.
You already sell out all those games that are in like in London or in Munich or in wherever they went to. They already sell out all those games. Like, there's no point. I feel like the Super Bowl is an American thing. That's just
Yep.
something you just got to keep. The whatever championship team or the La Liga or not La Liga, but the Premier League champion in England, they would not move their soccer championship to America.
No,
But
no.
but those teams have played in America. There's two teams that played in Green Bay, I'm pretty sure, not too long ago. So that's something that soccer is trying to do. Also, they're having some of bigger name teams in foreign countries come and play in the states. So they're kind of doing the same thing, just opposite.
You know what we should do every single year? The Cowboys don't make the Super Bowl and the Patriots haven't been good in a while. A lot of people around the world know about those two teams. We should just send them over there and pretend like those two are going for the Super Bowl internationally. We have our regular Super Bowl back home, but we send the Cowboys and the Patriots over there every year because we know Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott aren't going to the real Super Bowl. So we just send them over there and they face some AFC team like the Patriots who aren't good anymore, and they just play over there. We make double the revenue, and the people over in foreign countries think, hey, we're watching the actual Super Bowl, when in all reality, this is just the Cowboys, getting one last game in for the year and then coming back to stateside. I mean,
Instead of the Cowboys being Americans team, they can be like Luxembourg's team or something. I don't know. Something small.
They can have them. They can have them. They can have the Cowboys. They can keep Dak Prescott. I don't care. They can keep him. I'll be fine.
Yeah. And the thing is crazy is there's Green Bay Packer bars anywhere you go, Trage. I've heard that is kind of like in the States, there's always like a Green Bay Packer bar in every state almost. I feel like there's always a Green Bay Packer bar when you go over to Europe too. I feel like there just has to be, just because of how cool the Green Bay Packers are,
Well, this is true. I mean, you gotta,
especially Germany. You look at Wisconsin. We love beer. Germany, they've been drinking that thing since like 12 years old, so they gotta love that. They gotta love it over there.
That's my favorite thing to watch is on like those TikToks and everything. They say America's drunkest like counties or cities, and they'll zoom in on Wisconsin and they'll have like light blue for iffy, white if they don't drink at all, and then dark blue if they're like heavily drink. And like the entire state of Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, we dark blue
all the way across. And it's like, what is wrong with Wisconsin? I mean, we just get her done.
There's a lot of things wrong with Wisconsin, but there's also a lot of good things going on in Wisconsin, Trage.
There's a lot of good things going on, and we're going to get into them today. We went a little sidetracked there, but hey, that's how you got to start it on a Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. We're laying loose. Rogan's not here to keep us on track, so we're getting loose with it today. So we got a lot to get into today. We got the Bucks coming up this weekend against the Mavs. We got to talk about these last couple games for the Bucks before we get into this one against the Mavs. So we got the Bucks coming up this weekend. Also a little bit more Brewer talk. We got the Packers. Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur both spoke about this recent hiring of Jeff Hafley. So we got to listen. We got to see what they had to say and see what Brian Gutekunst had to say in his end-of-the-year presser. And then we're going to see where the day takes us. Badgers coming up this weekend. Got to be talking about them. And Marquette's in action. So right away, jumping into the Bucks. 2 straight losses under Doc Rivers. The start of the Doc Rivers era in Milwaukee, lackluster. Lost to Denver. That one wasn't crazy. I mean, Denver, pretty good team. But now they just dropped a game to the Portland Trail Blazers, a team that we said you had to watch out for, but the Bucks should be able to handle it. They lost that game 119 to 116. The defense is looking better. If you want to hang your hat on anything right now, the defense for the Bucks is looking better. But the offense is struggling, and it's struggling mightily as of late here. So, I mean, looking at that game against the Blazers, Austin, anything you saw stat-wise that led to this one? I mean, what the heck is going on with the Milwaukee Bucks?
Like you were saying, defense is looking good. Offense is struggling. And you look at, I mean, we outscored the Trailblazers in the fourth, but 25-23, not very impressive there. We gave up 37 points in the first quarter, and it's kind of there is when I knew this one's probably going to be a lot closer than some other games. And I thought, honestly, the Trailblazers were going to score a lot more than 119, but we had a pretty good defensive second half. Where it comes to offense, I mean, I thought our starters played pretty good except for one person. It seems like we talk about him every single time, and that's Beasley. Okay, he's a good 3-point shooter, but 1 for 6 from the 3-point arc, and you only score 7 points. I'll give some credit to him. He's got grit and hustle on the defensive end. There was a play where um, the ball got loose and he dove for the ball, and the ball ended up hitting off of a Trailblazers guy, went out of bounds, and the Bucks got the ball. But like, you need to be scoring if you're going to be. You got to be scoring more than what you have been. It hasn't been a good few games for Beasley there. Portis got 11 points. Our bench does just not do anything. It seems like Portis got 11 and Jay Crowder got 6, but Pat Connaughton 0, Payne 0. Seems like those guys just aren't really providing for anything either. And then, I mean, obviously Giannis and Lillard and Chris Middleton are going to get their points, but it seems like if Giannis doesn't score 30 points in a game, then we're not going to win. That's what it's kind of looking like, and that's just not. We cannot have that. We cannot be so reliant on Giannis. Even when we went on our run, the championship, Giannis had huge games, but there were still key contributors that were able to. Chris Middleton was still putting up a lot of points, and I just don't know how we go from averaging like 120 to 130 points per game to now these past few games have just been low scoring. Even the Nuggets game, we only scored 107. And the Pelicans game, we scored 141. But the game before that, Cavaliers 100, and then 107 against Nuggets, and now 116 here. And the Mavericks is a pretty good team. They got Luka Doncic, so they're going to be good there. And I'm pretty sure, do they still got Kyrie Irving too? I'm pretty sure. I'm not entirely sure. No?
I think so.
I think they do. And so that's not going to be a gimme either. Trailblazers, I would say that they played pretty good, but I mean 119. I feel like that's a game to expect the Bucks to win there. Anthony Simmons, or I think that's you. Anthony Simmons led them in this one with 24 points. Aiden had 20, Grant had 18, and Brogdon had 12. But their bench just flat out outplayed our bench. Scoot Henderson off the bench had 15, and then Reith had 10. So I think that's where a lot of things are coming down to, Trey, just how our bench is playing compared to other teams.
I 110% agree with you. I was looking at the same thing. I didn't know if you were going to mention it, but the bench. We look game by game. We can look game by game. You know what? Beasley, we can handle him only scoring 7 points. But you need somebody off the bench who's going to add 15 then. You need 2 guys off the bench who are going to give you 10. You need Giannis to give you 40 if Beasley's only going to give you 7. You're going to have nights where one of your starters isn't going to score 20 points. I mean, look at this game here. Look at Brook Lopez, 19 points. He played well. And then you talk about your other guys you just mentioned. They're all 20-plus points. And then Beasley was 7. Okay, that's fine. You can have a night like that, Beasley. Nobody's saying Beasley can't have a cold night. I know a lot of people are probably listening and saying, well, you're going to have some cold nights. No, we get that. We get you're going to have cold nights. But the problem with the Bucks right now, they have 0 bench play. They have Bobby Portis. Jay Crowder gives you a little bit, but he ain't giving you a lot. You need another scorer on that bench. This Bucks team, we talked about it it was probably a week ago. We said, how far are the Bucks away from being the Celtics, and how close is the rest of the Eastern Conference to the Bucks? I think the rest of the Eastern Conference is closer to the Bucks right now than the Bucks are to the Celtics. They are missing pieces. That's what they are. They are missing key role players, not stars. I don't think they're missing stars. You have a star-studded lineup right now. You have Giannis, you have Dame, you have Middleton, you have Brook Lopez. You have stars on this team. You don't need any more stars. You need role players. Guys who can get you 15 points. Guys who can get you 10 points. We need somebody coming off that bench. Cameron Payne and Pat Connaughton both gave 0 points in this game against the Blazers. 0 points. Now I get it. Payne only played 8 minutes. Connaughton only played 14. I don't care. We can flip script and go look at the Badgers sometime. Connor Essegian gives you 8 points in 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 6 minutes of play. for the Badgers every single night. I get it. College versus the NBA, whatever. You want to look at the NBA right now? There's a scoring problem in the NBA right now. There is games being 140, almost 150. The score is almost there. Teams are almost getting to 140 a game. That's high scoring games right now. So to tell me that you can't have guys coming off the bench who can at least give you 5, 6, 7 points, that's ridiculous. Cameron Payne, not good for you right now. Not good offensively. He might be an experienced veteran guard, but he's far from a good scorer. Cameron Payne's out for me. Pat Connaughton, shouldn't have brought him back. He should be gone. I don't know why Doc isn't playing guys like Beachcamp right now or Jackson Jr. I know Griffin had him in a lot more. It might be something that Doc's trying to work through. I don't know. But those two guys, maybe Beachcamp has to get in there a little bit more. I don't know. He was scoring when they had him in there, so possibly Beachcamp getting more playing time. But the Bucks need something. They need a couple guys. They do. They need a couple role players. I don't care if you have to dip into the foreign or into the overseas or find some guys overseas. If you have to make some trades, if you have to find some guy in free agency right now, I don't care who it is. You have to find somebody because right now this bench is atrocious. We talk about it night in and night out, how bad the bench is for the Bucks. And when the Bucks pick up wins, Bobby Portis goes for 20, Giannis goes for 40, and Dame has 30. That's when the Bucks win ball games. When they don't, we see scores like this. We see Bobby with 11. That's not bad. I mean, that's not bad coming off the bench. You can't even knock Bobby, but you look at the rest of the bench there, it's like there's nothing. There's nothing to work with. Yes, I would love to blame it on Doc Rivers. I would love to. Maybe if he used a couple more of these guys off the bench, maybe. But what does he really have to work with besides Beachcamp? Andre Jackson Jr., more of a defender. He's not a great scorer. He can score a little bit, but he's not great. That's not what he hangs his hat on the basketball court. So I'm just looking at this Bucks team and saying, where's the bench? That title run we made, we had a bench. Last season, I thought we had a little bit better of a bench. This year, no bench. Zero to no help off the bench for the Bucks right now. We see games where Beasley has 20-some points, where he gets hot from three. The Bucks win. That's the difference right now. They need all 5 starters to constantly be cooking for them to be able to win a game. That's where they're at right now. I mean, you look at the last time the Bucks and Blazers faced, they only faced twice this year. And in their first matchup, 108-102. They beat the Blazers 108-102. How close are the Bucks to actually being a championship team? I don't think they're close. I don't. I mean, this is me trying to be as optimistic as I can possibly be, but right now, there has to be some worry if you are the Milwaukee Bucks. You're 32-16 now. You can't win on the road. You're 11-11 on the road on the season right now. I get it. It's easier to play at home. Yes, I 110% agree. But you get into a 7-game series, the Bucks got to be able to win on the road. I don't know if this team can. I really don't know if this team can right now. With the ability that they have with player personnel coming off that bench and in the shooting guard spot, I don't know if the Bucks could win a 7-game series against the top, I would say top 8 in the East. I would venture to say top 8. I don't know if they could hang their hat in there. Pacers, I don't think they could beat the Pacers in a 7-game series. I don't think they could beat the Sixers right now. I don't believe they could beat the Celtics. Now, Doc might be able to turn this ship around. He might be able to right it. They have a little bit of time left until the trade deadline. I believe that's like February 8th or something like that is the NBA trade deadline. So they have time to right this ship and get some pieces. But I really do think they need pieces because this roster currently constructed, I just don't believe is good enough to lead them to an Eastern Conference champion or possibly an NBA Finals trip. I really don't think so.
And their schedule does not get any easier. They play Dallas on Saturday there tomorrow. And that's at Dallas. And you look at some of the guys on their team here. Luka Doncic. Well, that should be the only person I should have to say is Luka Doncic. But then they also got Kyrie Irving. And, I mean, it's going to be a struggle, I think. Now, Dallas Mavericks, they're 26-22, so a little bit above average there, above 500. So I thought they'd be better. Kyrie Irving did miss some games, and he's What does GTD stand for? Do you
Game
know,
time
Trage?
decision.
Game time decision. So Kyrie Irving's game time decision. So maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. But Luka Doncic is averaging, or he's leading the team in 4 categories out of the 5. He has 34.7 points per game, 8.6 rebounds per game, 9.6 assists per game, and 1.4 steals per game. So he's almost averaging a triple-double. The only person that has the other category is Derek Lively, the second, with 1.4 blocks per game. So a pretty good defender in him. Kyrie Irving has 25.2 points per game and 5.3 assists per game. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. adds 18.3 points per game. So as a team, they only average 118.3 points per game. But I don't know what Bucks team we're going to get anymore, Trage. I don't know what Bucks team we're going to get. Are we going to get the team that we score 130 and win this game? Are we going to get a Bucks team that plays good defense but can't score enough because our bench sucks? I don't know. It's kind of, I want to say the Bucks. The Bucks right now do have they're projected to win this game by 62%. But I don't know if these matchup predictor people have really watched some of the games that the Bucks have been in, because I feel like it's a lot closer than 62% to 37.8% there. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. And like you said, we have not played well on the road whatsoever. And we're going to be on the road for a while here in the West. So we better buckle up as some Bucks fans, because it's going to be quite the week or a few weeks here in the West.
I feel like that percentage was probably higher a couple weeks ago too. I feel like that percentage is the margin has slowly gone together there, especially for like a team like this against the Mavs. It was probably a 70% chance Bucks were going to win it, and it slowly dropped its way down now to what it is. So definitely going to be an interesting matchup there for the Bucks coming up on Saturday against the Mavs. Like you're saying, it's going to be Doncic. You got to shut down Doncic, and the biggest problem for the Bucks is guarding at the guard position. So Doncic and Kyrie Irving, 2 of the toughest guards in the league, and you got to face them if you are the Milwaukee Bucks. So this should definitely be an interesting game right there. 7:30 tip there on Saturday. Should be a good matchup there for the Bucks. Hoping to see Doc Rivers get his first win with Milwaukee. They right this ship, and we can eat our words here at some point here talking about the Bucks. So with that, moving on here, I just wanted to get into the Packers. Well, before we get into the Packers, I want to get to this before we get into the Packers. I want to talk about your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sue or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. And also looking at another one of our sponsors, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Moving on here, I want to get into the Packers. We heard from Matt LaFleur a little bit today, and also heard from Brian Gutekunst in his end-of-the-year press conference. So I just wanted to go over a couple of the quotes that I heard throughout the conferences there and just hear what they had to say. So according to reports, Matt LaFleur has told defensive assistant coaches that they are free to explore other options. So Matt LaFleur kind of clearing house there for his new defensive coordinator coming in for Hafley. Definitely interesting there. Interesting development on that end. I mean, I guess the only thing I could take from it is Hafley wants to have guys in the room that he can get along with. Maybe the guys that were in there, he's not going to agree with too much. And they want him to have his right pieces in there. So that's about all I gather out of there in that sequence. I mean, anything else you can add to that, Austin? Anything that you're thinking when you hear Matt LaFleur say something like that?
That's interesting, considering I'm pretty sure they were just saying that Hafley wasn't really worried about kind of changing the people underneath him. I'm pretty sure he's like, the majority of the guys that they had were probably going to stay coaching there. But once again, I mean, when a new DC comes in, some decisions are made, and I guess they probably wouldn't mind getting rid of some people. But I mean, I don't really know. That's interesting. That is definitely interesting.
Yeah, 100%. And so moving on here, I just wanted to get in some of the things that Brian Gutekunst had to say in his press conference. And he said they'll have flexibility in this upcoming NFL draft and should have 11 total picks when adding in comp the count or whatever the heck they call them, the comp picks at the end. I was trying to spell out a word there in my own head. The comp picks that they get at the end there. So maybe he said also maybe trading those picks for veteran players. Who knows? Is what he said in his press conference. So definitely interesting there. I think they're going to need all those picks because with this new scheme, like we were talking about yesterday, that 4-2-5 defense and that 4-3 defense that Hafley likes to run. I mean, they're going to need some different pieces in Green Bay. They're probably going to need some help at the safety position. They're going to probably need to be looking at some defensive ends. They're going to have to be exploring linebackers because, you know, as much as they talked about Devondre Campbell being included in that group, I don't see Devondre Campbell doing very well in a defensive scheme that involves him in pass coverage. I really don't. Devondre Campbell isn't good in pass coverage, and that's been his one tick in his career. So I don't know if Devondre Campbell fits well in there. So I think they're going to have a lot of bits and pieces they're going to have to fix into the fold here. And looking at a guy like Preston Smith, I don't know where Preston Smith fits in anymore. He's an outside linebacker by trade, played generally on the line there. So I don't see him faring well in this defense for Hafley. So there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. I mean, a lot of these picks to me are going to be used on the defense. I can't imagine. I mean, you might look at an offensive lineman or two, but I don't see many of these picks being used other than for defensive purposes. I mean, looking at that, I mean, are you in the same boat with this? I mean, 11 picks he's telling me we got. I mean, a lot of it's got to be towards the defense.
No, it has to be, I think. Especially with a new coordinator coming in, he's probably going to want something that kind of fits his style. And honestly, like you were saying, Preston Smith, not sure if he really fits the style of Hafley. And he's a little bit older, too. There's probably someone you can kind of replace him with if you cannot already replace him with the guys that we have in Lucas Van Ness and others. So that's definitely interesting. And yeah, like we were talking about, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I feel like O-line is kind of number one right now, but the way we saw our receivers play and even Aaron Jones there and whatnot, I don't think this might be the first time that as a Packer fan that I'm not really concerned about our offense except for the O-line. And I'm excited to see that defense. I thought last draft our defensive the picks that we got from the defense have really done well for us this year. And that's just the defense. I thought obviously all the picks that we got, for most of the picks that we got, helped this team win a lot or get us to the playoffs. And hopefully we kind of see the same thing next year. And there's some really good talent, especially on the defensive side, that I think would be very exciting to have for the Packers. And I think we can use that to our advantage with having such a really good young core for receivers and offensive players in general. I think we can use that to our advantage and kind of just load up our defense and get this guy's first defensive coordinator season off to a good one. That I can see definitely being a possibility. But Green Bay has always been, I feel like, a defensive draft team. Like they always are drafting defensive players early, and it's usually always cornerbacks. But I don't know how this year is going to go, but I would not be surprised if they did draft a cornerback or even safety first round. And because there are some decent corners, but it all depends on how the combine goes, how all their pro days go too. Bunch of factors into that, but I'm sure there's already some guys that the Packers kind of have been eyeing down, even while Joe Barry was there, that they kind of probably still want on their team, no matter who their defensive coordinator is, just to help out because our defense has been struggling for the past few years, and we always need help. It seems like we always need help. Our defensive line, I say, has been good, though. Our defensive line has definitely improved. Run game's still iffy, but from how our Carl Brooks, Lucas Van Ness, once he started actually playing, I thought he'd been progressing pretty well. Devontae Wyatt, kind of his first year that he's got a lot of playing time. I thought those three have been playing really good, and the young guys are starting to produce a little bit more, which is good to see.
Yeah, 100%. And, with that run defense, I know we talked about Halfley a lot yesterday there. He's got an aggressive mind. That's the big thing that people say when they talk about Halfley is he's aggressive on the defense when he's scheming up plays. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what kind of blitz packages he draws up in this next season to try and slow down the run game. I think that's definitely going to be something to watch out for. Like you said, who knows who they're going to draft here coming up? Who knows how deep the cornerback pool is and everything like that. So far, Gutekunst has done well drafting from what we've seen over the past couple seasons. So if anybody's going to find that diamond in the rough guy, Brian Gutekunst is going to do his homework and find that guy. Hopefully, Halfley can help him too. I saw, it was a quote by Richard Sherman, he was with the 49ers when Halfley was there. And he said that he's a great coach that focuses on the detail, always a great plan and adjustments. His team will see the looks they will see on Sundays throughout the week because of the time he puts into studying and understanding offenses, he's going to be a great fit. So, from what Richard Sherman had to say, Halfley puts in the time, he puts in the effort. He's kind of like a Mike McDaniel kind of guy who's constantly on his computer, constantly looking up stuff and trying to learn. And so from what I'm hearing from the outside looking in, yes, it looks like a strange pickup by the Packers, but also from what I'm hearing is this guy's smart. He studies the game, he understands the game, and he's going to be able to draw up some interesting stuff. So definitely going to be interesting to see what he draws up for Green Bay. Looking at some of the other quotes on Aaron Jones, he said on wanting Aaron Jones back, he said, absolutely, called Jones a difference maker on the field and influential leader in the locker room, the heartbeat of the team. So definitely seems like Brian Gutekunst wants Aaron Jones back in the Packers in 2024. So that's good to see, like we were talking about. He also confirmed the Packers and Love's representation will move forward on contract negotiations over the next few months. Said an extension is important to the stability of the team. What do you think? I know you are a big Jordan Love guy. I know that. But if you look at it from a football perspective, we've seen a half a season of good play out of Jordan Love. Now, I'm not saying that Jordan Love is a bust. I'm not saying that in any grand scheme of things. But you don't want to put yourself in a Daniel Jones kind of situation or a Kyler Murray kind of situation. Now, I'm not saying Jordan Love is the same player as Daniel Jones. I'm not saying he's Kyler Murray. But what I'm saying is that we haven't technically seen a full season out of Jordan Love where where it's been nonstop great play. We saw the first half of this last season. We saw the end. Now, if you only go off of the end of last year, Jordan Love's your guy. And I have changed my script to saying Jordan Love is the guy in Green Bay. My only worry is you lock him up for 3 years. Whatever it is, 3-4 years, max contract, whatever the Packers decide to pay Jordan Love, whatever it is. My only worry, we haven't seen a full season out of Jordan Love yet. Now, from what we've seen in that end of the year here in the second half, fantastic player. Does he have stuff to work through? Yes. Who doesn't? He's still a young quarterback. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to say the hypothetical reasoning there that that it would be a bad idea, but also I feel like, you have to. You have to lock him up now. I think that's the only thing to me. You have to lock him up now because you don't want to risk it in the future. You want to get this contract done and over with. My only concern is we haven't seen a full year. That's my only concern. So, what is your opinion on it? From looking from the outside of it, not being you're a big Jordan Love guy. I know that. But looking from the outside, from what I'm saying here, would you be skeptical a little bit? Of signing that big contract with him for multi-year with the risk?
Well, Trey, just kind of looks like something we're already familiar with the Jackson Cherio situation. how the Brewers signed him without without not even seeing him in the MLB. Here, at least, we've seen him play at least some decent football in the second half. And yeah, he did struggle a little bit, but I think the staff saw something that maybe we didn't see. The leadership that he portrayed, the team morale that he got from the team, that stuff all goes into it. But then I think he fit Matt LaFleur's system better than Aaron Rodgers did. Even though Aaron Rodgers won, what was it, 2 MVPs with Matt LaFleur, I don't know if he was in for the right system for Matt LaFleur just because he would seem like they were. I don't know. The media always kind of says whatever narrative, it's always off, but they always made it seem like him and Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur were button heads. And so it seemed like Aaron Rodgers didn't really fit the scheme, but he still won 2 MVPs. But here with Jordan Love, it seems like it's something a little bit different. And honestly, I think you got to lock him up, even though you saw how much he's improved. I feel like he's not Daniel Jones. Honestly, Daniel Jones, I don't know what happened that one year, but we saw him this past year or whatever, and Daniel Jones was just not good. I think he'll be better than Daniel Jones, and I think it's a good decision by the Packers. I think it's a good decision, even looking from the outside, because he plays well this next coming year, and we don't extend him. There's going to be teams looking for him for a lot of money that they'll actually be willing to pay, and at that point, we're just going to not be able to have to pay it, or not going to be able to pay it, and then we're going to be looking for another quarterback. And hey, if he doesn't plan out, well, I guess there's always the 2026 NFL draft trade. So we've done it before, and we can do it again. Draft another quarterback in the first round to replace someone who we just signed for another multi-million-dollar year deal.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I mean, you got to be skeptical of any big deal. That's how you are. I mean, you're going to get skeptical of it, but like you said, you have to sign him up. You got to lock him down now before he gets into that, big. He's going to be in the decent chunk of change right now, but potentially could be even bigger at some point here. So definitely a good thing. Like Brian Gutekunst said, they're excited to build around him. I'm excited to see what the Packers can put around Jordan Love and move this team forward. Just moving on, another piece that they have that's building around him is Christian Watson. And he talked about Christian Watson, and he said that he's an impactful player, and the Packers are looking for ways to help Watson and others stay on the field. Some young players need time to get the groove with their process. I just don't, they fired the strength and conditioning coach, and I think that might help. But if we have another year of Christian Watson where it's 8 games, like you get him for 8 games, you never know when Christian Watson's going to be out there. When is enough enough? I get he's still on his rookie contract. I understand that whole scenario there. But when is enough where you're just like, I'm sick of playing this game where we don't know if he's playing this week. He hurts himself running in the open field. I know it happens, but it happens to him more than the average guy. When is enough with a guy where you just got to say, hey, we have other guys in this room where we have a roster spot saved up for you right now. You're constantly on the injury report. We can't deal with that anymore. So we just got to move forward. I mean, I'm looking at Christian Watson. I'm saying, yes, he's an impactful player. When he's out there, he makes an impact on the game. But when he's out there, that's the big ticker there. When he's out there. And then his first 2 seasons with Green Bay, inconsistency getting on the field. So that's my only worry with Christian Watson. Where are you at right now with Christian Watson, his ability to stay on the field for the Green Bay Packers?
I think that he's injury prone is a huge major liability, and that's with any NFL player. You're getting paid millions of dollars, and if you're not able to, honestly, I'm going to put it this way. You look at some of the best players, and I'm not saying Christian Watson doesn't do this, but they get paid millions of dollars, and they use a lot of that money to invest back into themselves and to get their body right for the upcoming season. Now, I'm not saying that Christian Watson doesn't do that, because I'm sure he probably pays a good amount for training and whatnot. But having a hamstring injury every time, like, it seems like it's just repeating itself over and over and over again. And that's just something that will get you honestly fired from being or get you cut in the NFL, having been injury prone. And it's not like we can't trade you away if you can't play because no one's going to want you. There's no value there. We honestly would get nothing for you. So you got to be able to produce for one, but also just at least be on the field. Heck, I mean, like you said, when he's on the field, he's been good, but he has barely been on the field, and it's his hamstrings. And you're a fast guy. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but if you can't be on the field, then you can't be on the team because you're almost like David Bakhtiari here. I don't know. You'll probably say if he did talk about David Bakhtiari. I don't even know if he did. Probably not. But
no, didn't say a word about him.
Which surprises me because he's in the same boat, but he hasn't been playing in how many years, and he's just eating up our money. So honestly, I could see getting away from Christian Watson. I could see David Bakhtiari probably gone. But then if Christian Watson after this year, another injury, I can see Christian Watson almost just leaving Green Bay, getting cut from the team because it's just you're not adding any value to our team. They're just you look at guys like Bo Melton and Dontavion Wicks who got picked in later rounds. Bo Melton, I'm pretty sure was a free agent, unrestricted free agent or whatever it is, undrafted free agent, and they've already done more than Christian Watson has done in almost 2 years. So those guys are stepping up, but Christian Watson is definitely degressing there, and it'll be interesting to see if he's able to play next year. But if he's injured again, he might be on his way out of Green Bay.
I completely agree with you there. And another guy that we were worried about might be on the way out of Green Bay, Jair Alexander. Brian Gutekunst spoke on him and said they asked him if there was any consideration of trading him, and he said no. No consideration. He said he was proud of the way Alexander responded to the Week 17 suspension. So looks like Jair will be back in Green Bay next season, hopefully a full season, not injury-plagued season there for Jair. Speaking of offensive linemen, only good things to say about Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker. He said he loved to play out of those two. The one thing that kind of got me, he believed Anders Carlson was by far the best option at kicker for the Packers this season, and he's excited about where he's heading. That's what he had to say. Mason Crosby was a free agent for most of the year. I'm just going to put that out there right now. He was a free agent for most of the year. In-house, yes, Anders Carlson was the best option for the Packers at kicker. Was there other guys out there? Yes, I believe there was other guys out there the Packers could have looked at. So I don't know what to make of that comment on Anders Carlson, unless if he's just trying to hype up his boy because he drafted him. He made the mistake of drafting a kicker, so now he's just got to eat it. He's got to eat his own words and move forward with it. So, he's got to keep his faith in him for at least another year because otherwise he looks like the idiot that drafted a kicker when, that's the golden rule. You don't draft a kicker. That's just how it works. Unless if Justin Tucker came available in the draft one more time, you don't draft a kicker. That's
49ers kicker got drafted even before Anders Carlson, and he played pretty well. So, but he's no Anders Carlson. He's way better.
No, completely agree. 100% agree with you there. And just to end it, he had to say that he believed, or he thinks that he says the Packers have Super Bowl expectations in 2024. Thought the Packers were going to the Super Bowl before their late collapse against the 49ers. So Brian Gutekunst thought the Packers were going to the Super Bowl there against the 49ers. Packer fans thought that the Packers had a shot at the Super Bowl before that collapse against the 49ers. So definitely interesting to see what Brian Gutekunst had to say during that press conference there, the end of the season press conference there. Definitely more to get into with the Packers, though, here in the offseason. So we're going to get into it more often here. But with that, I want to get into Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. But with that, I got to get to Austin here. He's got his fact of the day.
Trage, we're doubling down today on this Friday. I got two good ones, and one I'll mention is a quick one today. In 1959, Vince Lombardi signs a 5-year contract to coach in the NFL for the Green Bay Packers. I feel like that's just relevant because one of the greatest coaches of all time, coached for the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl trophies named after him. I feel like pretty good accomplishments out of that guy. But I saw before I saw that one, I saw this one. In 1892, it was the longest boxing match under modern rules, 77 rounds in Namoki, Illinois, between Harry Sharp and Frank Crosby. Don't know who the boxers are, but 77 rounds of boxing trade is absolutely insane. That's absolutely crazy. So I thought that one was interesting, but just a little bit of a double dip today in the fact of the day.
How do you go 77 rounds? That's what I want to know. How does nobody just say, like, hey, let's stop this. Let's wait until, like, I don't know, 2 weeks from today, and let's restart this thing. I went, like, how long did that match have to take? 77 rounds. I mean, a round is what, 3 minutes or something like that?
I think so. Around there, yeah.
I could be wrong, but I believe it's like 3 or so minutes. I mean, plus. So that's a long match right there. Wowza.
And they didn't even say the winner on this website here.
Does anybody really win?
They probably just knock each other out, or they both collapse on the canvas dead, because 77 rounds is a long time, and they probably they fell there and they were just defeated, laying on the canvas, both of them, and they were like, well, I guess it's a draw. 77 rounds in a draw. I'd be so pissed if I win 77 rounds. And they're like, well, you both are dead, so no one wins.
You're both done, though.
If I was a fan, I'd be mad because you're there for 77 rounds. But anywho, I just thought that was very interesting.
If I was a fan, I'd be mad that I just had to watch 77 rounds of a fight. I mean, that's ridiculous. I was mad, though, that what was that match? Was it Manny Pacquiao and somebody else that it lasted like 8 seconds, the match did? I can't remember that one. There was a lot of hype
quick, yeah.
And it was like 8 seconds long. I can't remember that match now, but it was ridiculously short. But yeah, I mean, that's ridiculously long.
I did the math, and so I did 3. So let's say each round is about 3 minutes. So 3 times 77 for each round. That's 231 minutes. So divide that by 60 to get the hours. 3 hours. Well, it says 3.85. So almost 4 hours of boxing.
It is boxing. It is boxing.
Yeah.
Minutes always last 3. So it is 3 minutes. Yep, I just looked it up. 3 minutes.
So they're just shy of 4 hours of just straight boxing. Now they have breaks in between there.
People complain about the pace of play in baseball, and we had a 77 round. I see why they limit it to how many rounds you can go now before it's a draw. Yeah. I see why it's now limited. These guys ruined it for everybody else. That's all I know.
Pretty much.
It's okay. It's okay. End of the day, it is okay. So with that, I want to move on here. We got to get into the Badgers coming up this weekend, a massive matchup with number 2 Purdue. I just wanted to mention, I'm trying to pull it up real quick. The Purdue Boilermakers faced Northwestern, and that was a ridiculous game. 100-96 was the final score. It ended in overtime there. And I'm just trying. Now my stats won't pull up for that one.
I got the stats if you want me to talk about. I did watch the game too.
But here's the stat I just wanted to point out.
Free throws.
Northwestern played ridiculously good for traveling on the road for this one against Purdue. They fought back every time Purdue went up. Northwestern fought their way back. And it was, ridiculous. But 46 free throws were shot by Purdue in this game. Northwestern shot 8. 46-8. You guys wonder why Chris Collins got kicked out of the game there at the end? Why he got kicked out? That's why. 46 free throws. Purdue sucked from the free throw line. 29 for 46. They shot 63%. That was god-awful. You look at Zach Edey. He was 8 for 17 from the line. So terrible free throw shooting by Purdue. Oh. But 46 free throws in a game compared to 8. I've heard of. I mean, I listened to Bill Michaels today talking about it, and he said either Northwestern has a class at their college called Hack 2.0, or I don't know what happened, because you look at this North. I mean, you're telling me Northwestern didn't drive in the lane at all in this game, get rocked, and there was a foul call because 8 free throws in the entire game, 8 free throws in the entire game compared to 46. You're telling me that Purdue went in the lane that much more? I mean, yes, they have Zach Edey, and he shot 17 free throws. 17, though. 17 out of the 46. Their guards, you're telling me, got into the lane, drove to the basket, got fouled that many more times than guys like Boo Buie or Ty Berry? That's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. You wonder why Northwestern had to shoot 27 threes in this game is because they couldn't go inside because they were being hammered and the fouls weren't being called. Just terrible. I mean, that's just terrible. When you look at the free throw percentage in this game and you look at the free throw difference in this game, that's ridiculous. You cannot vouch for a game out there 46 free throws to 8. You cannot. I mean, that's just terrible reffing. I don't know who the crew was that night for that game, but I mean, all around just terrible. So with that, I mean, getting back to the Wisconsin side of things, Wisconsin squaring up against Purdue this weekend it's going to be a massive matchup for the Badgers coming up at the Kohl Center. Their 12 o'clock tip on CBS. So Austin, we know about the big man Zach Edey for this Purdue team. Who else are we looking at there for Purdue this year that we got to be watching out for if we are the Badgers?
Yeah, Lance Jones is second on their team, leading in points per game with 12.7. Braden Smith, really good point guard. He just had 16 assists. I know that's a personal best, but I don't know if that's a school best at all or not. But 16 against Northwestern assists there is pretty impressive. But he averages 7.5 assists. He leads the team, and then also 12.1 rebounds. Fletcher Lawyer, 11.2 points per game, and then Mason Gillis off the bench with 6.8 points per game. But he seems like he always gets quite a few minutes there, even though he comes off the bench. A pretty good player, a senior there for Purdue. Definitely seen him multiple times this Badger team has. So a really good player. But, I mean, if you want me to talk about Zach Edey, we know what he can do. He's a big guy, right? He's probably, I mean, if I can click on his name here, he's 7'4" and 300 pounds, Trajan. 7'4", 300 pounds. And this man's playing basketball, not in the NBA or not in the NFL or in college football, basketball. And he averages 23.4 points per game and 11.6 rebounds per game, and then also 2.3 blocks per game. His 3-point percentage is 0. So he may have shot a 3-pointer, but he doesn't. That's not his game. You'll see him post up, put his hand up in the air, and almost every time it seems like he's getting the ball, he gets fouled. And we saw that against Northwestern. The Northwestern bigs were trying their hardest, but I just think it was some bullcrap, some of the fouls that were called, because it seems like he just intentionally does stuff because he's so big that he'll just get a foul call. And I just don't think that is really how that should work. But I mean, he uses it to his advantage, and I mean, it works for him. Only if he could make free throws, I think that he'd be better. He's a 71.9 free throw percentage shooter there, but against Northwestern, like you were saying, he did not do too hot out of the 17 free throws that he shot. He was kind of almost a liability there for them at the end, and maybe that's something that we take into consideration if this is a close game towards the end, following Zach Edey, because they got way better free throw shooters than him. And so if he has the ball in his hands, that's kind of the guy that we have to take advantage of. This is a pretty good team overall, Trage. They got some pretty good guys off the coming off the bench. Camden Hyde, he only averages 3.4 points per game, but he's played in all 22 games, along with Caleb First, 22 games, and then Ethan Morton has played in 21 games. So just some names, not really big major stats, but some guys that have came off the bench. And this is a team that is 20-2. So anyone that plays is obviously pretty good for this Purdue team. And depending on how our bench plays, I think that's gonna probably be one of the biggest factors. But also, I'll just say my whom I'm looking at for this game, my big two factors, Stephen Crow. I think that's a big one. How he plays defense, if he's able to score against Zach Edey. What I think is going to be crucial is Stephen Crow's ability to make the 3-point shot. Because that means Zach Edey's going to have to come out of the paint at some point. And if Stephen Crow can make a 3-point shot, that's going to help the Badgers a lot with getting Zach Edey out of the paint. And then probably AJ Storr. Honestly, I'll say AJ Storr. We're going to probably need a big game out of him. If we don't have a big game out of Max Klesmit, I don't see Chucky Hepburn having a somewhat decent game anytime soon here. I think it's going to have to be AJ Storr. But Max Klesmit, he's sneaky. He's a little sneaky, so he might be able to get some points of his own there and do some damage. And then Tyler Wall's just there for not moral support. He's just a team player. So I feel like he's going to do whatever it takes to beat this Purdue team. I'm excited to watch it on Sunday. And I feel like a lot of Badger fans, we haven't seen a men's team like this since Frank Kaminsky's time in 2015, Sam Decker's time way back when. I feel like the Kohl Center is going to be rocking, and Wisconsin-Madison is going to be ready for this game. We saw the last time when Chucky made that shot against Purdue, and I don't know if we're going to need magic like that again, but if we do, Lord, I hope the ball goes in the net.
We always do. There's two ways you can skin this cat being Purdue. There's two ways you can skin it. You can either play this game one of two ways. You can try to eliminate Zach Edey, which means forcing him away from the basket, limiting post touches, and trying to eliminate what Zach Edey can do against you. He's not a good outside of 2 feet away from the basket kind of guy. He's trying to get within 2 feet. He's trying to get his post touch right down on the block. That's where he's looking for it. Keeping him out of there, that's going to be big. So you can play it that way. Or Zach Edey is one of the best players in college basketball, if not the best player in college basketball. He's going to get his points. Eliminate everybody else from this game. So that's going to require good defensive guard play from Chucky, from Max Klesmit, from AJ Storr, from a guy like Tyler Wall. Eliminate everybody else in this ball game and do your best on Zach Edey one-on-one. Either you can try to double him down and try to eliminate him in this game, which the Badgers have tried to do in the past, or you're going to be looking on the flip side of it, and you're going to go one-on-one with Steven Crowl or Nolan Winter, and you're going to say, hey, we're going to shut down the guards in this game, Braden Smith, Lance Jones, Fletcher Lawyer, even a guy like Gillis in this game, and we're going to let Zach Edey go one-on-one with Steven Crowl and see what Steve can do. There's two ways to play it. If I'm Wisconsin, I know what Zach Edey can do. He's a great basketball player. I try to force him out of the paint as much as I can, and I shut down the guards. That's what I do in this game. I try to eliminate Braden Smith from this game. I try to eliminate Fletcher Lawyer and Lance Jones. I shut those guys down, and I let Zach Edey do what Zach Edey does, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to get post touches. You can eliminate that. Like you talked about, putting him at the free throw line, not a bad idea. If he gets an easy look, foul him. Now, make sure you foul him so it's going to be a miss. You don't want him to go to the free throw line with a chance for an and one. And then, he's prone to miss at the free throw line, but he's got two anyways. So, if you're going to foul him, make it hurt. Make him have to earn them at the charity line, not from the floor. That's what I think is going to be a big thing here. But I'm looking at the guards for the Badgers, honestly. Like you were talking, Steven Crowl and Wall, I think they have to have big games, but you got to shut down these guards from Purdue. Otherwise, you're going to have to win a shootout, and then your bench is going to have to score a lot. Because if you let Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, even a guy like Gillis and Jones get hot from downtown, this is going to be a completely different game, because tackling the animal that is Zach Edey is one thing, but when those shooters get hot along with Zach Edey, Purdue is a whole different animal. That is a different kind of animal. So this is definitely going to be a game where you have to shut down one or the other. You have to pick your animal you want to try and tame and try to do it. I don't think you can do both. I really don't. I don't think you can double down Zach Edey and shut down the shooters at the same time, unless if Purdue has a cold shooting night. But other than that, you have to pick one of the two. I would rather have them beat me inside, because that's what they do, than beat me at the three-point line in this one. So I am looking at the guards from Wisconsin. They have to have big games here to shut down the likes of Jones and Smith especially, and looking at a guy like Fletcher Lawyer, Well, all four of those guys, I mean, even throwing a guy like Mason Gillis, all at 36% to 50% from 3-point line. So definitely good shooters there from Purdue. All the way around, this is going to be a tough battle for the Badgers. This is the measuring stick, right? They've played some good teams. They've hung with some good teams. They beat some good teams this year. This is a 2-loss Purdue team coming into this game against Badgers, 20-2 on the season. The Badgers, this is your measuring stick right now. The Badgers have to be able to take care of this one. If they have aspirations this year of making a deep tournament run and anything in between, this is a game where the Badgers have to play well. You have to use Purdue as your measuring stick now. You have played the likes of other good Big Ten teams, other good teams around the country. This team and Purdue, when they're right, and that's what you want, right? As a college basketball fan, you want a good game. You want both teams playing at their best. If Purdue is playing at their best, they're one of the top teams in the country. And if you want to see your measuring stick, it's right here. It is right here in the Purdue Boilermakers. So definitely going to be a fantastic game. I got to see good games out of Max Klesman in this one. I have to see a good game out of Tyler Wall just because I really do believe that Zach Edey will probably square up with Steven Krause. I don't know what kind of game Krause is going to have against Edey. So I think it's going to be a lot on Tyler Wall and Max Klesman in this one to have big games for the Badgers. You got to have your stars shine, right? In big games like this, AJ Storr and even a guy like Connor Essegian coming off the bench. That's a lot of guys. I picked a lot of guys who are going to have big games for the Badgers. But at the end of the day, in a game like this, you need everybody to play well. You can't have anybody slacking behind. So this is going to be a game where even a guy like Chucky Hepburn might have to step up and hit a big shot in this one to really bring it in. So, hopefully it doesn't come down to a last-second shot. Hopefully the Badgers are up by like 20 at some point in this game. That'd be awesome. But definitely a beatable team at Purdue, but this is a different kind of animal from what the Badgers have seen this year. So anything else to add there on the Purdue-Wisconsin front coming up this weekend?
No, Church, I think we covered it all in this one. It's going to be a good game. And like you were saying, heck, if we win by 22, we should be the number one ranked team in the nation.
Might as well. Rank us. Rank us up there, number one.
Put us there.
Come on. Might as well. So with that, just moving on here, talk about Marquette is in action this weekend. I believe they're playing Georgetown. I'm trying to pull it up here. They will be in action against Georgetown. That game will be on Saturday at 1 o'clock on FS1, coming from Washington, D.C. They're playing at Georgetown Capital One Arena. So with that, moving on here, I want to get into our sports story of the day. So Austin, what do you got for me? Sports story of the day.
Yeah, my sports story of the day, aside from my Wisconsin sports question of the day, is now all the NFL head coaching jobs have filled up, I'm pretty sure, with Dan Quinn getting signed as the coach out for the Washington Commanders. And that leaves out two big names in this coaching carousel, in one certain Bill Belichick and one certain Mike Vrabel. What are those two going to do? Are they going to take a day off? Or take a year off? Are they going to go back into coaching? Because if they don't, then the Packers completely whiffed on a very good defensive coordinator there. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see where those two end up at the beginning of next season, because I'm pretty sure all the coaching or the head coaching positions have been taken up and filled. So definitely interesting on that.
It's baffling, honestly. Bill Belichick, one of the most decorated coaches of all time, and then Mike Vrabel. Now I can see with the way Belichick likes to run places that a lot of teams didn't want to take a chance on him. But Vrabel, one of the better defensive minds in the entire country, and you don't give him a shot anywhere. That was interesting. I didn't even hear many places interviewing for Vrabel. So I saw the Commanders did interview Belichick twice, but Vrabel I didn't even hear was in on the Commanders job. So it's interesting to see that nobody really looked at Mike Vrabel as a head coach. So it makes you wonder what the heck's going on there.
And maybe he doesn't want to coach. Like I said, maybe he wants to take a year off. I don't really know what the whole situation is. He's been with the Titans for what seems like forever, and I don't know. It is weird that we haven't heard about him getting interviewed anywhere. I feel like we would have heard something. and maybe there was something behind the scenes that we don't know about. I'm sure there's something there, but I'm almost positive we're going to see Mike Vrabel with a headset on in some press box coaching for some team this fall.
We have to. I mean, we just have to. I couldn't. One of the like I said, one of the best defensive minds in the entire country. Maybe he's going to Boston College. He'll take over the head coaching job at Boston College. Now that Halfley left, he'll go take over at Boston College and help them become bowl eligible one more time. I don't know.
Maybe.
Definitely interesting news right there. I got my sports. It's not really a story. It's more of a fact. So they did a list. MLB, they came out with a list. I don't know who did the list, but there's a list. How close MLB stadiums are to the nearest Chili's, the restaurant Chili's. So if you had to take a guess at the closest stadium to a Chili's, I mean, just take a shot. I'll give you a list of 4 teams, and you can pick the one you think is closest. Progressive Field, that's Cleveland Guardians, Angel Stadium, American Family Field, or Globe Life Field.
I feel like there's a Chili's inside of one of these fields. I just feel like there's a Chili's inside of these fields. Or
I don't
possibly,
know the answer to that question, but I know how far they are from the closest one.
I'm gonna go Globe Life Field in Texas. Is that Texas, right?
So number 1 on the list, 1 mile away, is Progressive Field, Cleveland Guardians. That's
I guess
the number
Cleveland
1
makes
team
their
on the
Chili's
list.
then. Interesting.
The Brewers, they like their Chili's. American Family Field is actually 1.5 miles from the nearest Chili's. If you had to pick the furthest stadium from a Chili's, so I'm going to give you another list of 4. Yankee Stadium, Rogers Century, which is the Blue Jays, Busch Stadium, or T-Mobile Park, which is the Seattle Mariners. Which stadium do you believe is the farthest away from a Chili's?
I don't know if Canadians like Chili's, so I'm going to go Rogers Center.
That's actually the second furthest away. They are 85 miles from the nearest Chili's. The furthest stadium from a Chili's is Seattle Mariners. They are 279 miles from the nearest Chili's.
Oh my gosh. That's probably down in like Oregon or something.
Yeah, it has to be. Almost down in like California. Like, let's just skip a couple states. Now we're there. I don't know. I thought I couldn't believe somebody actually did a list on it, but yeah, that's what I got out of there. So
who has that much free time? Who has that much free time in their life to do that?
I don't know. Somebody who gets paid a lot because they map the distance to every. Well, maybe his favorite restaurant is Chili's. He's got on his bucket list to go to every MLB stadium, and after every game, he's got to go to Chili's. So he had to see how far it was away.
True. Smart man.
But after that game for the Mariners, he's got a long drive. That's all.
That's a far drive. Maybe he can get Chili's on the way to a California game or something.
That could be. That could be. That could be.
If
so,
that gives you,
I got
maybe the Chili's in Idaho and we don't even know about it. Does Idaho have Chili's? I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me. They have a lot of weird things in Idaho. Maybe one of them is
potatoes.
Weird. I mean, you never know. You never know with some of these places. So I got one more sports story. The Big Ten men's basketball recommendation for how they should put together their conference schedule for this upcoming season with the add-ons of USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon is they said that they should have a 20-game conference regular season schedule. Each school would play every other school at least once, play 3 schools twice, and there would be single-play home and away locations will rotate annually. Two-play opponents will be determined annually by competitive balance, geography, and rivalries. So I feel like the Badgers will keep their... If this went into play, the Badgers would keep their double with Minnesota. And then after Iowa, and then maybe a team like Illinois or Michigan State.
Illinois would be weird because we don't even play them twice this year.
No. So I don't know. it's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. What
Screw it. Oregon, you're our next rival.
I've always hated Oregon. I've hated Oregon ever since Bo Nix, or was it? No, it wasn't Bo Nix. It was Justin Herbert. Ever since Justin Herbert ran all over the Badgers and kicked the crap out of us in that Rose Bowl, I've hated Oregon. I've hated them before that. I just hate Oregon. I just have to. I just have to hate them.
They got some nice jerseys, though. They do have some nice jerseys.
They have nice jerseys. I'll give them that. I'll give them that. Nice jerseys. So anything else we got for Wisconsin sports for the day?
I was just gonna say that just something quick here is the Badgers hired Alex Grinch as a an assistant coach, co-defensive coordinator, and a safeties coach there. He was the defensive coordinator for the USC Trojans, who obviously had some struggles on the defensive end. So a lot of mixed emotions between fans on Instagram, and I don't really know, but it'll be interesting to see how he does as his new job in Madison.
That seems like it's going to be our Monday topic. That's going to be topic number 1 on Monday right there. It's talking about him and seeing what we think with Alex Grinch coming to the Badgers there as a co-defensive coordinator, safeties coach. Definitely interesting news right there. Anything else? Nothing else?
I got nothing, Trage. Let's enjoy the weekend.
Nothing. We're here. We're at the weekend, folks. It's exciting. Badgers in action against Purdue coming up on Sunday. That'll be a 12 o'clock tip there on CBS. Otherwise, Marquette is in action against Georgetown coming up at 1 o'clock on FS1 on Saturday. So with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.